Hey friends, thanks for stopping by the channel. I've got a new video for you. This one is going to show you how to set up Jupyter notebooks on your Windows computer. But it's not just Jupyter notebooks, we're going to set up Dash as well. So if you're having some projects with your online CS courses and you're finding it an issue with accessing the virtual labs and you want to do Jupyter notebooks on your local Windows machine, here's how we're going to do it. So first thing, let's go ahead and open up the web browser of our choice, whichever one that may be. On this machine, it's going to be Edge, of course. We're just going to do a quick search for Python, and it should bring up this page here, the main Python page, I guess. We're going to go to downloads, and since this is Windows, we're going to download Python 3.10.6. You should see your download thing right here, and then just go ahead and open up that file. All right, with this, we're just going to add this checkbox down here, add Python 3.10 to path, and then hit install now. And this will take maybe a few minutes depending on your machine. I'm running an i7 with 32 megabytes of RAM on here, so it goes relatively quickly. But if your machine's a little bit slower, you may see this progress bar move a little slower. But either way, we're going to go ahead and download Python. And once Python is downloaded, we'll have it on the machine and we'll be able to use it for a variety of things. Now, I personally use Sublime Text 3 for my development in Python because I like it. I'll post a link on how to use and set up Sublime Text 3 in the description down below. But for this one, we're going to be focusing on Jupyter Labs because some of the online courses that you may be taking through your university require you to use certain features that you only can be found in Jupyter Labs, like for instance Dash and a few others. Not I shouldn't say only found in Jupyter Labs, but it's a lot easier to run them through Jupyter Labs in the web browser that way, from what I found. And so we're going to focus on that. So we can actually close this web browser in the back. This is just about done. And once it's done, we're going to install a couple more things before we get started. And then I'll show you a sample project that I've got from one of my courses. And you may have the exact same project. And if that's the case, cool, then this is going to work great for you. All right, and there we go. We're all done. We can close this. Now, a few more things we want to do before we open up Jupyter Notebooks. We're going to go ahead and go to our Start menu, type in CMD for the command prompt. And in the command prompt, we're going to type in Python space -m and then pip install Jupyter. And this is going to bring in Jupyter Notebooks for us. And again, this is dependent on your web speed, but if you've got a pretty fast speed like I've got right now, then it's going to download relatively quickly, and it should install just as quickly. And what this is doing is actually installing the Jupyter Notebooks module on your machine so that you can access the actual Jupyter Notebooks. There's a variety of different ways to install this. I know there's some people like to use Anaconda in order to do this. I'm just going through pip. It keeps everything nice and organized, and it minimizes all the extra things that I need to put on here. But if you are an Anaconda person, that's cool too. You're just going to want to research how to do that specifically. All right, we're done. Once we see this cursor blinking again, we are ready to go. Now I'm going to type in a couple more things. I want to install a few more items. So I'm going to type in pip and then install and then quotes Jupyter Lab. That's going to be one word, and then the caret or the actually that's not a caret, that is the greater than symbol, and then equals 1.0 end quote, and then Jupyter dash or sorry, not dash, Jupyter Lab dash the word dash, and then hit that. And then we should see again another download instance. We're going to see a couple more things download, a couple more things install. And then once that's installed, we'll have one more thing to install to make sure that our different modules are all ready to go and that we can use Jupyter Notebook and Dash just like you would in your online virtual environment for whatever university of choice you are attending. For me, it's SNHU. For you, it may be something else, but either way, a lot of these programs run kind of the same type of curriculum, which is fine. It's good curriculum. The only issue is that sometimes the virtual lab environments can be a little bit sketchy or touchy depending on where you're located and depending on how they have it set up there. I've noticed personally, for instance, when I have to access at certain times of the day, the virtual environment does not work very well because a lot of other people are accessing around the same time. All right, that's done downloading and installing. So we're going to install one more thing. That's going to be pip install and then Jupyter. How do we say it funny like that? Plotly dash. Notice the dashes in between there. So Jupyter dash plotly dash dash, and then we'll install that. And then once again, you should see some downloads and you should see some installs. And once both of those, or once all of those things are finished, then we are ready to go and start up our Jupyter Notebook environment and start exploring. Again, as I mentioned before, I typically like to use Sublime Text 3, which there'll be a link below in the description for you to figure out, install, and use on your Windows machine. But Jupyter is a good alternative, and it runs right in the web browser. And uh, like I said, most online universities are using Jupyter Notebooks in order to run their Python scripts and everything and access databases and whatnot. Okay, and now that that's done, we can actually close this right there, and we'll open up a new command prompt. So Windows CMD, and then right there we're going to type in the word Jupyter Notebook. And it should open up Jupyter Notebooks in a brand new web browser window. There you go. And what's cool about Jupyter Notebooks is it does make everything kind of easy to navigate through. So for instance, here is my file system right here on Windows. I actually have a sample file right there on the desktop. So I'm going to open up desktop, and there it is, dash sample. Okay. If you are attending the same courses as I am, then you may see this to look very familiar, in which case, hopefully this is super helpful to you. Now, there are a couple things that I need to change up here because I don't have them implemented just yet, but I will have them implemented for future videos. I'm going to get rid of this from PyMongo import and this from bson.json. Those are having to do with, those imports have to do with MongoDB, which I will be exploring in a future video when I talk about CRUD modules and things like that. But right now, this right here, all this does is it creates a dashboard, a kind of user endpoint where you can log into a database by inputting a username and a password. And so with all of the installs that we just did, you should be able to just click anywhere in this box, hit run at the top, and you will see, ignore the warnings, and there we go. Input type and input password with an execute button. There you go, ready to go. And if you want, scroll all the way to the bottom, hit this open in new window, and that will open it in a new window without those warnings at the top. Now just a quick word on those warnings real quick. If you just read them real carefully, it's not anything really bad, but it's mentioning some things that are deprecated. So in the actual file that you may have downloaded from your university course, it has all the code written up here as these imports, but really these are actually deprecated, these two right here, the import dash core and the import HTML components, and it shows you right here what they should be. So they should be from dash import DCC, and likewise from dash import HTML. So if I just replace those just like that, type that one in there, and again from dash import HTML, and then I run it again, we shouldn't have any warnings. There we go. So that's it. That is the whole thing right there, getting you set up with Dash. Now there's a lot of other cool things that Dash can do, which I may explore in future videos, but for right now, hopefully this was the most helpful to you, because for me, as I mentioned, I had some issues getting this to not just run on my online virtual machine for university, but also running on my personal computer. So with all those things ready to go, hopefully you are ready to start coding in Dash and Jupyter Notebooks as well. And come back for a future video where I actually implement MongoDB into this written application. And we'll talk a little bit about that, accessing the MongoDB server, both in the cloud and on a local machine. All right, thanks for stopping by. See you soon.